Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you YueJin versus Corbeau in the semi-final of the third Asia Pacific tournament. So we're finally getting towards the end of the tournament with only this game, the lower bracket semi-final and the finals to go. So let's have a look at what we have today. So this is Odon River, and on the allied side YueJin is going to be pulling out the 4th armoured. And on the Axis side, we are seeing the 3rd Fallschirmjäger. There's quite a few things to note about both of these divisions. First of all, on the side of the Allies, the 4th Armoured generally doesn't get picked too often because it's mostly banned. So in this case, Corbeau felt confident not to ban it, and therefore YueJin has decided to play it. So that's just the reason why you don't see it very often. I think in general, it's perceived to be quite a strong division. On the side of Corbeau, he's going to be playing the 3rd Fallschirmjäger. And considering the map choices are random, it's interesting that he's landed on this map, because this is, I think, the only map we've seen in competitive play where the 3rd Fallschirmjäger has done very well. Basically, the reason for that is because they have very strong infantry, and that allows them to play between the spaces of these bridges. So these bridges are basically natural choke points, and against armoured divisions it's quite easy to control where you're getting pushed from. Now of course the armoured divisions can get around that by using artillery and so on in order to soften up defences and then break through. However, in general it should be easy to manage where an attack is coming from because of the choke points. Whereas when you're playing against the 3rd Fallschirmjäger, the 3rd Fallschirmjäger can send Fallschirmjägers just through the middle of the map, and although there are quite a lot of open spaces, it's going to be quite easy for the infantry of the 3rd Fallschirmjäger to defeat the infantry of the 4th Armoured at least. Let's have a look at some of the units going down here. On the side of YueJin, he's going to be using cavalry scouts and their WC-52s. He has some rifles there, some armoured LMG rifles in the M3A1 half-tracks. That's going to be followed up by an M8 cavalry, some command, and a rifle unit. This M8 cavalry is actually a really nice choice against the 3rd Fallschirmjäger, because the 3rd Fallschirmjäger can't really bring in any significant armour early on, and it looks like YueJin has identified that. For the mid, it's just going to be a single unit of rifles, and for the bottom side, more rifles, cavalry scout recon, M8 cavalry, and a jeep. So you're just going to be looking to break through with those M8 cavalries, maybe run down some of the infantry on the side of Corbeau. Corbeau is going to be bringing in some Fallschirmjägers there. He's got his Fallschirmführer, Fallschirmpanzerabwehr, and then there's also a Panzerschreck there. He might be using Fallschirm Speertroop or even the Fallschirm Scharfschütze as well. There's some more Fallschirmjägers there. Also got a Fallschirm Flammenwerfer. On the bottom side it's going to be more Fallschirmjägers, more recon, another Fallschirmführer, another Fallschirm Panzerschreck, and the Panzer L6. Now the Panzer L6 is good enough to penetrate an M8 cavalry at close range, but it really depends whether or not it can find that close range, because at longer ranges it could really suffer. Now what I'm not particularly liking down here is the lack of an AT gun. I've pointed out this tree line before, and I feel like this is a really good place to manage pushes coming round this tree line, especially things like this M8 cavalry that could easily fall into that trap. YueJin has managed to get into position here with the WC-52. L6 might be able to blow that up. Yes, he will. Rifles have managed to find their way into the other buildings. So they're going to hold back quite a lot of these units, trying to kill off the Panzerschreck there, and did manage to, so that's quite a nice kill. Those are Fallschirm Scharfschütze. On the top side, the same. So Fallschirmjägers, Fallschirm Scharfschütze, Cavalry scouts are moving forwards. That's going to reveal the infantry to the M3A1 half-track. That's going to allow the M8 cavalry up there and the M4A1 to get involved. On the bottom side, the M8 cavalry's now hitting the Fallschirmführer and the Fallschirm Panzerjäger. Now what's interesting is that Fallschirmjäger has already fallen down to 1 health, and if that Fallschirmjäger dies, then an engagement down here could very easily swing in favour of YueJin. So this initial punch is actually looking pretty strong out of the side of YueJin. He's getting a lot more bang for his buck out of his units early on. So cavalry scouts do have a bazooka, and it seems as though Corbeau, even having seen the cavalry scouts, has allowed that bazooka to get in range of his L6, and that is a pretty huge mistake, as now the Fallschirm sharpshooter are falling as well, and these Fallschirmjägers are not far from being pinned down. If the M8 cavalry was in a little bit of a better position there, that could have ended very badly for Corbeau, and while even with them being pinned down here, this M8 cavalry may look for the fast move. On this top side, M3A1 has fall back. We do see that the WC-52 did go down, but it's very easy for the Fallschirmjägers to find that kill since the WC-52 is unarmoured. Now, since the infantry on the side of Corbeau does cost a lot, it seems as though that Corbeau has pretty much neglected the open area in the centre, only put 1 Fallschirmjäger here, and that's pushing the lead 53% in favour of YueJin. Now that Fallschirmjäger just completely mismicroed there. He allowed them to be forced back and then basically let them run forwards again without changing the order, and that got them killed there, which is really, really bad, because now there's no command on that bottom side of the map. On this top side, we can see that a lot of the squads here have been cleaned up. The Fallschirm sharpshooter are dead, the Panzerschreck is gone, and now he's quite simply relying on 1 unit of Fallschirmjäger that could be easily overrun by the units that YueJin has. YueJin is playing a bit cautiously at the moment. So WC-52 coming down with another cavalry scouts here, since his were taken out by these Fallschirmjägers, I think. There has been a Pak 41 Gerlich brought into this bottom side, and I like that a lot. Decent position actually. Might be able to clean up this M8 cavalry. But there is of course the M21 mortar carrier that, if it spots the Pak 41, will be able to take it out quite convincingly. Now the Fallschirm Panzerschreck is taken out there by the cavalry scouts, and YueJin really is finding advantages on this top and bottom side. So the Pak 41 now firing away towards the WC-52, easily giving away its position. Just a matter of time really until YueJin starts firing that mortar. I'm surprised he hasn't already. Maybe he forgot to bind it. But either way, rifles engaging with Fallschirmjägers, and this is what I was talking about in terms of infantry superiority. These Fallschirmjägers just rip to shreds rifles and can just run them down so easily. On this top side, these Fallschirmjägers are now dealing with Armoured Leader at close range, and honestly the Fallschirmjägers should be able to win out there quite convincingly, since the Armoured Leader don't have anything special, like 3 HE on those command squads. Now that's really nice because it does remove all of the command from these units in the top side, and the Fallschirmjäger is easily going to defeat the cavalry scouts. Those Fallschirmjägers at like 200 to 300 meter range are absolute monsters. So artillery is now coming down onto the Pak 41 Gerlich. New Panzer L6 has been brought in, but as you can see, YueJin has managed to afford himself Abrams and is going to be bringing him in to help him out. M8 Cavalry is going to be rolling forwards here. M21 is going to continue the mortar fire. But with the Pak 41 still active, I'm not sure that's a good engagement. Yeah, he's going to be backing off. L6 is going to charge forwards here. Might be able to chew up some of this infantry, but YueJin's put them all onto return fire so they don't reveal their positions and get themselves killed off. Now, overwhelming numbers of rifles here against the Fallschirmjägers are going to win out. The rifles at that range do have an 8 HE, and that's going to find a salient on the top side. On the bottom, cavalry scouts, I think, there found the Azuka shot into the L6, and another mistake. Just getting too aggressive with those L6s on Corbeau's side of things. Bantam here is going to be opening up with the machine gun. Not really much that the Fallschirmjägers can do about that, unless they can get within the 150 meter range. The beauty of these Bantams is they do have that one front armor, and that allows them to basically deal with infantry squads without dying to light arms fire, like things like the WC-52s do. So really nice job of YueJin to identify that he can use a Bantam to keep these Fallschirmjägers from being a threat across the rivers between the bridges here. So he's going to continue his focus. The rifles found another Panzerschreck on the top side, and that's a lot of those Panzerschrecks gone down. But Corbeau's found a spot in the defences here. L6 is going to be able to ruin YueJin's day, maybe get the surrender onto those rifles quite nicely, and then can continue to push through onto the armoured LMG rifles and rifles there. So they are surrendered. Corbeau going to try and take advantage of that. Pack 41 is being forced back. The M3A1 and M8 cavalry are now enabled to push across that bridge. So the great thing about this now is that YueJin can basically get right in the face of Pack 41, continue to make that fall back, and then just run over the infantry that's in his way. But I'm pretty sure he's cautious of these Fallschirmjägers, maybe identifies that they are there, waiting for the rifles to reveal them. Panzer L6 just charging forwards here, looking for the kill, I think, onto the Bantam. That would be really good, nice actually, because then that would enable his Fallschirmjägers to push once again across the river. But YueJin has something to say about that, has his Abrams coming down the road opposite the L6. Now I don't think either player was really paying much attention. YueJin definitely not. Corbeau just trying to hide best he can. Rifles though here going to get taken on by the Fallschirmflammenwerfer. The Fallschirmflammenwerfer though going to get machine gunned to death by the 50 cals. M3A1 is going to continue to charge forwards, keeps the pin onto the Pack 41. M21 mortar carriers, I think, predicting where these Fallschirmjägers are, but they're going to reveal themselves by firing at that half track, and now YueJin knows exactly where to fire. M4 Abrams, of course, going to find the Panzer L6 eventually and kill it off. +2 in favour of YueJin. We do see a Fallschirmjäger squad there get pinned down and surrender to an armoured LMG rifles. That's not ideal. Now it looks like this Fallschirmjäger cleaned up 2 of the rifles at least, which is nice. There is a Pack 41 in the way over there, but things really falling very quickly in favour of YueJin here. We see the rifles and armoured LMG rifles now cracking down on the Fallschirmjägers. It's not long until this M3A1 gets involved, and of course Abrams, and there is nothing to kill Abrams here other than maybe a Panzerfaust. HS-129 does come in. It's had its main gun deactivated though. Not sure if that's intentional or not. Okay, it's been turned back on. I think what Corbeau is trying to do there by deactivating it is allowing the HS-129 to get closer before turning it on, so it's not only more accurate but it has more penetration. That's really smart actually to micro that HS-129. It's just a shame he didn't get the kill onto the mortar carrier. Another Fallschirmjäger does get surrendered to these armoured LMG rifles, and for every Fallschirmjäger that's going down, that is 45 points a pop. Don't forget how expensive those infantry squads are, and honestly, by the looks of things, his infantry availability is just falling away from him. We have just moved into Phase B, so that should fix itself, but the positioning on the map right now is absolutely dire for Corbeau, and it's hard to push with the 3rd Fallschirmjäger at the best of times, and in this case it looks like he's just quite simply being outplayed, and after 10 minutes and 21 seconds, Corbeau is going to surrender. Now, the 3rd Fallschirmjäger I don't think is a division known for comebacks, so I can forgive this surrender, as YueJin definitely worked very well on his unit composition in order to push across those bridges effectively. The M8 cavalry is such a beautiful choice, and those M3A1 half-tracks are perfect for just annihilating anything that could be put up against him. Those L6s struggle against the M8s, and then when Abrams gets on the field, there is just nothing they can do. Even the Pack 41 Gulich struggles to kill the Abrams at max range. And as soon as the Pack 41's found, M21 mortar carriers do the job. So it's very difficult for the 3rd Fallschirmjägers to find any counters, and all of these Fallschirm Panzerschrecks were found by cavalry scouts. The use of recon was pivotal in allowing YueJin to spot these Panzerschreck squads and make sure that he avoided any ambushes. Look how many Vulcan Panzerschreck squads were killed. And they have very, very good stealth. That's pretty much the story of the game. The recon from YueJin was really good and allowed his fire support from his M3A1 half-tracks and the M8 cavalries to do the job. In terms of losses, this Panzerschreck did find a WC-52, and we see the Fallschirmjägers trading against those rifles quite easily. But in general, none of the Fallschirmjägers paid themselves off. Maybe this Fallschirmjäger just about. But other than that, Corbeau really struggled in this game. 710 kills, 260 losses. So that, guys, is going to push Corbeau down to the lower bracket semi-final to play off against Tarsh. If Corbeau can win that game, he will be put back up into the final to face YueJin. But Tarsh has been on a roll. It hasn't been the most exciting games, but Tarsh has won his last 4 games or so. I mean, he's done really well. So we'll have to wait and see. Can Corbeau defeat Tarsh in the next game? That's all for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you then. Goodbye.